Tesla has increased the price of the Model Y rear-wheel drive in China by about $350. The price of the Model 3 has also been increased, but only by $200, but remember that the refresh is actually more expensive than the old Model 3. And I personally think it is really smart how Tesla is doing all of this. Tesla is not increasing the price of each trim all at once. It first increased the price of the Model Y Performance, then the long-range Model Y and the long-range Model 3, and now the rear-wheel drive models. I think this way Tesla creates more urgency and more incentive for people to order the cars now instead of later. Tesla could have just increased the prices of all of these trims all at once, but this creates more headlines and more urgency. You can call it a trick, a gimmick, but I think overall this is a good way to do it. Is this actually bullish? For me personally, because Tesla only raised the price of each trim once, it's not really saying much. But if Tesla raises the price again of each of these trims, then to me that becomes bullish. Although if it's just an increase of $200, maybe not really bullish. But if Tesla does it the third time, then these $200 increases, $300 increases start to add up. However, there is also an argument to be made that this latest increase is the most bullish out of all of the increases because it affects the highest volume trims that Tesla has. The rear-wheel drive versions, the cheapest versions in China, are quite a bit more popular than the long-range trims, unlike in the US or Europe. About price cuts, James says, small but meaningful since these models do huge volume and paired together with two other recent price hikes, signals that Tesla is done with cutting in China. This should drive a strong Q4. We get another week of data tomorrow, which actually we now have, and the deliveries in China based on the insurance data equal to 12,700. My first impression about this was, really? With the refresh Model 3, this week is actually lower? Did these refresh Model 3s actually get sold in China? What happened? Did they get exported? Something is going on here because this number supposedly should be at least a bit higher than the previous week. I mean, overall, it's not a bad number, but it's not a wow, that's amazing kind of number. Because we are still slightly behind Tesla's best quarter in China. And Troy was actually expecting 16,000, so over 3,000 more than the actual number. Gary says this could be because of more refresh Model 3s being exported to Europe. Luckily today we have the model breakdown already. We don't need to wait for tomorrow. And yeah, it does seem that there are more exports to Europe probably, or there's a problem with production, but I don't think there's a problem with production. So I don't think this week's number is actually bad. If anything, that could say that, the numbers in Europe are going to be pretty strong. So maybe it's not a demand issue, it's mostly a supply issue, and Tesla prioritizing Europe for now still. But we don't really know for sure. This is all just speculation. But James emphasizes that there is still plenty of time in the quarter for Tesla to catch up and do a record in China again and hit at least 480,000 deliveries this quarter. Tesla is on its way to double components imports from India, said the trade minister today. We have heard about this before, but now it is actually happening, which further signals that Tesla is indeed very committed to actually building a factory in India and diversifying its supply chain. I say overall this is good news.